Hello, SpongicX here, and today I'm going to be playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, going through every single racetrack and giving my thoughts on them, saying which tracks I liked and which ones I didn't. So yeah, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, in my opinion, it's the best Mario Kart game ever made. Some people are just so nostalgic over what they think their favorite Mario Kart is. Like, some people say Mario Kart 64 is their favorite because it was the first one they ever played, and yeah, it was the first one I ever played, but I'm not gonna act like it's the best one in the series, because it really isn't. I feel like a lot of the entries over the years have really improved upon the formula, and Mario Kart 8 is one of the best examples of it, because not only does it have the biggest playable roster, but the biggest amount of selectable courses, including all the DLC courses that were originally part of the Wii U version, but then they were bundled in the 8 Deluxe version for Switch. So the Switch version doesn't have a whole lot of new additions, but there are some notable additions, though, aside from an entirely new battle mode that is a huge improvement over the original. It allows you to use double items this time, where Mario Kart on Wii U, it did not allow you to hold two items at once. Even if you were dragging one behind you and collecting an item while doing that, it just wouldn't register. Which was unfortunate, because it's like you could do that in practically every single Mario Kart game, at least since Mario Kart 64, as far as I know. But and then, of course, there were a few new characters exclusive to the Switch version, including King Boo and Bowser Jr., and so, it was kind of cool that they included them, but I feel like they could have included more characters. Like, where's Diddy Kong and Birdo, darn it? And I was hoping the exclusion of Diddy Kong meant that we were getting a Diddy Kong Racing for Switch, but yeah, I figured I was giving my hopes up on that one, because it's been quite a few years since Mario Kart 8 Deluxe came out, and, like, that came out around, like, the first year when Switch came out, so... And I can't remember when the original Mario Kart 8 came out. I want to say probably around like 2013 or 14. So it's been out for quite a while, but it's still a very marketable game. It just recently broke a record as the highest selling racing game of all time. So that's quite an accomplishment, because there have been so many racing games over the years, and the fact that this game is still being bought by new customers and stuff like that, and there's just so much merchandise for this game. They have like Hot Wheels toys and all these other things like remote control cars of Mario Kart 8, and yeah, it's a very popular game even to this day. So one of the big gimmicks of this new Mario Kart was the zero gravity racing, where when you can drive up like different angles and degrees or even loops. You notice you're in zero gravity whenever the tires turn sideways. Like right now they just tucked in. That's because I'm away from the zero gravity zone, but every time you notice like the wheels are popping out, that gives you the impression that, okay, I'm not driving on a normal surface anymore. So yeah, they got pretty creative with some of these, and there are even times where you don't even realize you're upside down or going up a vertical angle, because it's like easier to notice when like you're watching replays of this game or watching someone else play, but like when you're actually playing this game, you're just focusing on the road. You don't bother looking at the backgrounds or anything, and that's one of the biggest shames about this game. There is a lot of good detail going on, but it's almost impossible to notice when you're trying to play competitively. But mechanic-wise, this one is mostly an improvement over the last entry of Mario Kart, which was Mario Kart 7 on the 3DS. That was the one that included the hang glider sections along with the underwater driving sections, and so this game brings a lot of those features back. But one thing that's very noticeable about this game was this was the first, and so far only Mario Kart entry to get released in HD, unless you count the mobile game, but I don't really count that. That was a pretty bad rip-off. It's just one of those gotcha kind of money schemes. They're trying to make you pay like hundreds of dollars for microtransactions, and I didn't fall for any of that crap. I uninstalled it not long after. But so yeah, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, overall it's my favorite entry in the series. And so this first racetrack, sorry I forgot to mention it, it was just like a Mario figure 8 inspired level, and it's an okay first level, but I don't think it's that great overall. Like I said, it's mostly just a typical figure 8, but except one half of it kind of goes real high into the air, and that's like the highlight of the level. And The scenery's okay, but overall, there are better levels in this game. Subcoaster. So this is like a water park level, and it's a neat novelty, but I don't know, I just feel like it's not that fun of a racetrack, though. There's some interesting stuff going on in the background, but I don't think there's enough interesting stuff going on in the actual racetrack itself. And it's like a part of me feels like a level like this would have worked better for like a platforming video game, not a racing video game. But it is kind of funny how it's literally a water park, though. It goes in and out of the water. It's funny, though, I was actually thinking like they should do a SpongeBob movie or special like that, where like Sandy tries building the first, like, water park that can be, well, like, it's, a theme park up on land, possibly in Texas, and, it's a tourist attraction for both land creatures and sea creatures, because it has, like, underwater sections, and she's, like, trying to bring, you know, land creatures and sea creatures a little closer together or something, and it could have been revealed, like, that's why she did all this, underwater research for so many years, and I thought that would have been kind of a funny idea for a movie, or, you know, an episode or something, I don't know, but for some reason, just playing this level kind of brought up memories of that idea I had, but a little off topic, I know. So yeah, this Mario Kart game definitely has the most racetracks, because originally, like with the first, like 2 Mario Kart games, there were only 16 race cups, and, so, like, you had, like, oh, no, I'm sorry, let me think. Yeah, you had, like, 16 racetracks, with 4, race cups altogether, and, so the first one to break this was the Game Boy Advance one, where although at default there's, 4 race cups again with 16 tracks altogether, you got to unlock retro courses, which, included, all the tracks, remade from the Super Nintendo version, playable on the Game Boy Advance, and I think in order to get that, though, you had to beat each race cup while managing to collect 100 coins total in each cup, and so, or each stage, I can't remember, each cup or stage, one of those, but, so yeah, it was kind of a cool reward for those who actually bothered collecting all those coins that you find on the gameplay, and then that's just been a tradition that's carried on ever since Mario Kart DS, except ever since DS, they made it where it's no longer an unlock requirement. The retro cups are just there to begin with. I can't recall if there were any you were able to unlock, but I know later on, as the series went on, they had it where most of the cups were available to begin with, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is definitely one of those examples. You didn't have to unlock the cups, even the DLC cups. They were just there right from the beginning. But yeah, I do love how they have the retro courses, though. It makes a lot of people hope that someday they'll make a Mario Kart Ultimate, where if they don't make all the levels available, they make most of the levels available. Have them remade with the modern-day graphics that were introduced in Mario Kart 8, or even a better graphics engine, who knows, but... So I know what a lot of you are thinking when you look at this level. You think, Sugar Rush from Wreck-It Ralph, and yep, that's exactly what I thought, too. Apparently, Nintendo, they saw, like, that movie and thought, huh, this scene of the movie, well, this whole entire setting is basically copying off Mario Kart, so I guess it's only fair we copy off them in exchange. And so they basically put a copy of Sugar Rush into Mario Kart, but hard to say if it was a coincidence or not, though, but, yeah, I can't help but just look at this and think, like, yeah, this is too much like Wreck-It Ralph. I mean, you even have, like, the little, stand with the, spectators, and it's made of, like, all these little candy people, like gingerbread men and stuff like that, and it's like, that's Wreck-It Ralph. You got, like, a river made of soda and stuff like that, a giant, you know, mountain made of cake, and so, yeah, this just, you even have, like, the little sugar particles floating through the air, but it's still a fun level, though, but I feel like there's still a little more they could have done with this, but, it's fine, though, for an early level. Like, definitely the highlight of this level would be the 2 branching pathways. I'm not sure what candy they're supposed to be made out of, but some kind of sugar candy, like candy canes or something, I don't know. But hard to believe, though, that the giant cake is not actually part of the track. It's just there as a background object, or just a little outside object. But hard to believe there's not a point where you had to drive up it in a spiral way, but Then again, that would have been copying too much off Wreck-It Ralph, I guess, but... Oh no. Haha. Yeah, it's funny how they finally made an item that can destroy the blue shell, but most of the time it feels useless, though, to hold on to it, because there are many times where someone can get a lightning bolt and it will just knock it right out of your hands, and that seems to happen every time you hold on to one of those, and I got lucky there and was able to use it before someone summoned a lightning bolt, but still, it is very easy to lose those horns, but... And then sometimes you have a risk to make, because sometimes you can have like a red shell following you, and so you can either choose to take the hit and then save the horn for if an actual blue shell comes, because you're better off taking a hit from a red shell compared to a blue shell, because the blue shell slow you down a lot more, but... Yeah, I remember when I first played this game on the Wii U, I was really impressed with the graphics, though. Like, they're not the best graphics out there, but when you compare it to every other Mario game that came out before this, yeah, the graphics are quite a significant improvement. The lighting and shading effects are really good, and some of the texture work, and most Mario Kart games have had very cartoony aesthetics, and so this is the first time where they tried making it a blend of cartoony, but a little bit of realism. It tries using more realistic lighting, it uses a little less saturation, and that might bug some people, but I think it looks cool. It kind of makes this game look a little grittier, and personally, I kind of wish they did something like this with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I feel like a lot of people pointed out how the colors looked way too faded in that game, and a part of me feels like there could have been a little more detail here and there on some of the characters, and a part of me can't help but look back at Brawl and think, like, I love the grittiness in that game, and I kind of wish they brought that kind of style over into HD, but it seems like ever since Wii U and 3DS, they tried simplifying it, but some people have even said they thought the Wii U version looked better than Ultimate, and I kind of agree, because I look back at old screenshots I took from both games, and I couldn't help but notice the Wii U one just had a little more color to it. Like, I like how Ultimate tried giving it a little more, they tried desaturating it a little bit to kind of give it a little more detailed look, I guess, but the problem is they took way too much color out of it to the point where it looks kind of faded, and for some reason a lot of the screenshots I take in the game come out really blurry or low res, and then I look at the ones I took in Wii U and they look like a crystal clear HD, and I don't know, it could, maybe it's not the graphics, maybe it's just, the screenshot tool, because on the Wii U, they save the screenshots directly onto the SD card, but then for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and practically every single Switch game for that matter, it saves it directly using the camera feature that allows you to take snapshots of your, snapshots or videos of your display and all that, and usually those do not come out very HD looking. They really dumb down the quality, and I hate that. I wish they gave you the option to actually take screenshots in Super HD or something, but nope. Maybe, with the rumors of a new 4K Switch, we can finally make that into a possibility, but for right now, yeah, a lot of the screenshots you get when trying to take screenshots off your Switch, they end up pretty terrible, and oh boy, the video clips are even worse. It's like, if you want to get good video quality, you're better off getting like an Elgato capture card or something. Like, that's what I use to record footage of this game. It's not the best capture card out there, but it's pretty good for an HD capture card, though. It's not as expensive as some of the other... Like, it's still pricey, though. It can cost, like, almost $200 to get one of these. But I know, like, they have, like, some really powerful and expensive ones, though. And I'm not even sure how they work. Like, I might have to look into that, but... Like, I noticed how, like, they have, like, what's called the Elgato Capture Card Pro or something like that, and, that's not even, like, a USB plug-in. It looks like something you gotta connect to the back of your computer or something, and I have no idea how that works. It just looks like, a little chip and stuff like that. It's weird looking. Does anyone else know how those work? Because I really don't know. I tried, like, looking at images and descriptions. It's like, how do these work? Like, how do you hook these up to your console and stuff like that? It's so weird. There's like no slots for HDMI ports or anything, and I don't know. I just don't get how those work. So I'm thinking of possibly, like, not this month, but possibly in May, I'm thinking of possibly getting a USB microphone headset that I can use to wirelessly record audio while playing games. Because, you know, most of the time when I do videos like the one I'm doing right now, I don't do live commentary. What I instead do is I record the footage first and then go back to it and edit the footage and then add in a voice overlay. And sometimes that's pretty helpful because sometimes it's hard to come up with things on the spot, but then at other times it can kind of ruin the timing. Some people like it better when you actually see people's live reactions to things, and so here it doesn't feel like I'm doing live reactions. It's like I'm just talking to pass the time, and yeah. Because, yeah, I did have some funny reactions when playing this yesterday, and it's like I can't bother trying to recreate those. That just would feel phony. But then at the same time, though, it can be hard to kind of do live commentary while playing at the same time. I actually tried doing it yesterday as like a practice thing. I got out like my cell phone and tried doing it, recording on that, and it didn't turn out well, though, but the audio quality was pretty bad, so I deleted it, but yeah, I stuttered quite a bit, even worse than I usually do, and but hopefully I'll get the hang of it eventually, because I'd like to do some live commentary someday, but right now I don't have a microphone that can reach far enough from my computer to my couch, so yeah. So, yeah, I forgot to mention the last level I was at, the Thwomp Ruins. Yeah, that's one of my favorites in this game. I think the scenery's nice, the music's great, the track layout is amazing. And so, right now, we're at the Peach Circuit level, and this was a level that actually made it into a stage in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and it's an okay stage. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, though, but it's kind of a neat novelty. It's basically another racetrack around Peach's castle, except the big gimmick here is how the track, like, curves into, like, an upside-down loop eventually, and it's especially noticeable when you start noticing the castle hanging upside down, like, right there. So, yeah, that's kind of cool, and yeah, it's real cool how seamlessly a lot of these transitions go, because you're just keeping your eye on the road, and it almost, you know, is jarring when you look around and you're like, oh my god, I went upside down, I didn't even notice. It's especially cooler when you watch the replay modes, and it gives a better angle of everything, and that's kind of cool. I still can't believe they have not made a single Mario Kart racetrack where you actually get to drive through Peach's castle. Because, yeah, there technically was a tease of it in the 3DS version, because I remember, like, one of the early screenshots showed Mario driving a pathway that led inside Peach's castle, and I was like, finally! But in the end, it was kind of a cop-out. It was just a gateway to get from one end of a level to the other, so it gets over with way too quickly. Like, I remember in Mario Kart 64 how they had the Peach's Raceway or whatever, and people could actually go off track and drive into the courtyard of Peach's castle from Mario 64, and that was really fun. I remember having some funny memories of me and my sister messing around in versus mode. We weren't racing, we just kept dragging item blocks into the courtyard and just making a mess of everything. We would like throw shells or banana peels everywhere, and yeah, we just had fun just messing around in the courtyard. And oh man, there's a funny story I'll have to go to, because that level does actually appear in this game, but I'm sure a lot of you already know where I'm going with this. But yeah, a lot of people who love messing around with Peach's Castle in the N64 version, oh boy, they're going to be disappointed. But anyways, I remember ever since the N64 version, I always wanted a game where you actually like drove through Peach's Castle, and there are like rampways that took you through the paintings and stuff like that, so it took you through like transitions of like Bob on Battlefield or stuff like that, and unfortunately, Nintendo never made that into a reality. But funny thing is, I did see like someone posted footage of like a mod for Mario Kart 64 where they had custom racetracks, and one of them was kind of like an idea like that. It starts off in Peach's Castle, but then it goes through Bob on Battlefield, and then some of the other levels. And it's like, that's cool. I like how someone had the same idea. Here I was thinking, am I the only one who actually wants a racetrack like that? But apparently many others have thought the same thing, to the point where a few modders went out and did it themselves. That's really cool. But so yeah, Toad Harbor. This is a pretty neat level. I'd say this is another one of my favorites. it's just a very memorable level. I think it's supposed to be inspired by New York. I mean, you can definitely tell because there's a giant Statue of Liberty of Princess Peach in the background, and but yeah, this is just a real memorable level. I love the transition from being on the harbor with the docks and the sailboats, then racing in through a town with all the tramways and stuff like that. It's a pretty fun level. I like it. It kind of reminds me of the Delfino Isle racetrack from Mario Kart DS and Mario Kart Wii. I just love how lively this Mario Kart game is, not only with all the little hidden advertisements of all these different characters having their own businesses in the background. I mean, we kind of had stuff like that in Mario Kart 64, but it wasn't as detailed. There weren't as many. It felt like you were seeing the same ones over and over. So this one, there's a little more variety to it. They have like almost like an ad for each and every playable character, including like the Koopalings and stuff like that. And so it's kind of fun to just drive by and try spotting them all. It's hard to though, unless you're able to pause and look at the screenshots. But like trying to read them as you go is really tricky. But then, not only the advertisements, but even the population. You see all these NPCs standing on the side, and they're doing their own things, and it makes it feel a little more lively, like you're actually driving through a town, a living town. Twisted Mansion, oh yeah. I love this one too, this is a great one. And this is coming from a guy who's really not a fan of the Boo Mansion levels from Mario games. The only Boo Mansion levels I actually like are the ones from the 3D Mario games, like Mario Galaxy or as recent as Super Mario 3D World. But one thing I absolutely love about this level was how it somehow foreshadowed Luigi's Mansion 3 all these years, and a lot of us didn't even realize it. I'll bet there are some people who still haven't noticed it, but... So, upcoming, there's like a gateway, where you have like this giant wooden plank monster, and, right there, that thing right there. And so, for those who played Luigi's Mansion 3, they might remember the Ghost Shark boss fight, and, there's a part where it possessed a ship, and then, like, you see, like, how, you see how it has, like, that face appear out of the wooden planks and all that, and it tries eating Luigi alive, and it's like... I remember when I played Luigi's Mansion 3, it's like, oh my god, I know I've seen that before. I think it was Mario Kart on Switch and stuff like that. It was like, yep, there it is. You know, eventually I revisited this level just to be sure. It's like, yep, that was definitely the shark boss from Luigi's Mansion 3. And isn't it cool how they hid that for all these years? Because I think this game came out in 2014, or 13 or 14 on the Wii U. And so... the fact that, like, Luigi's Mansion 3 came out, like, what, 2 Octobers ago? So, it probably came out in, like, 2019, and, yeah, it's hard to believe they went that long with that reference. And, yeah, Luigi's Mansion 3 was originally meant to be a Wii U title, but they, canceled that and developed it further to be, a Switch game eventually, and, personally, I think that was a good payoff, because I think, Luigi's Mansion 3 was a real, impressive game, like, it was a real technical achievement for Nintendo, and I feel like if they released it on Wii U, well, it would have been cool to have, like, the Wii U gamepad innovations and stuff like that. What kind of throws me off, though, is I can tell the game would have lagged a lot on Wii U. Because that's one thing I noticed when playing a lot of games that originally started off on Wii U but got a Switch port. They run a lot smoother on Switch, it seems like. Yeah, I just love this level. It's so twisted. I love how, like, it starts off where you're riding on the dining room floor, and then how it has you driving on the wall all of a sudden while still driving on the floor at the same time. It's just real twisted. I love that. And yeah, you can probably tell one big influence for this game was probably Mario Galaxy, because Mario Galaxy had all these gravity twisting moments, and so I'll bet ever since that game, Nintendo's been trying to find a way to implement gameplay like that into a Mario Kart game, and so it took them quite a bit, but eventually they were able to get it with Mario Kart 8, and yeah, it was pretty cool. Hard to imagine how they would top this, though. What would be their next gimmick for a new Mario Kart game? And so a lot of people think either they need to make They need to make a Mario Kart Ultimate or like a Nintendo All-Stars racing game or like a Super Smash Kart or something. And I would love both, honestly. It'd be cool to get both down the line. Because I can understand they wouldn't be able to make one game with both of that possible, but make two separate games. Possibly one for Switch and then one for whenever the next console comes out. But I do feel like, though, if they ever made a Mario Kart Ultimate, I'd be fine if they excluded levels from Mario Kart 8, though. Give people a reason to still get Mario Kart 8 on its own. This game already has so many levels, and it'd probably save them a lot of space to exclude the levels that were included on this in favor of the ones from the other games. So, Shy Guy Falls, this is a neat concept, but I feel like in execution it's not that great of a racetrack. Most of it feels too narrow. It's real easy to accidentally try drifting, but then bumping on a wall, slowing you down, stuff like that. But, like, this is the highlight, though. Like, right there, you were actually driving up a waterfall, and now you're driving down it. I thought that was really cool, and to be honest, when I first played this game, I wasn't even aware I was driving up a waterfall until looking at the replay. It's like, oh my god, that's really cool. I thought I was just driving down one and going down another, but apparently I was actually going up one, then down one. That's kind of cool. And then, meanwhile, in the background, you have all these little Shy Guys working in the mine. That's a cute little touch. Other than that, though, like, I just don't think this is a very memorable racetrack. It's a little too short, a little too claustrophobic. It's got some nice scenery, though, but overall, it's not one of the best, in my opinion. One thing I forgot to mention, though, like, another great thing about this game is the soundtrack, for the most part. So, this is, like, probably one of the first Mario Kart games to use an actual, live instruments, and they tried giving it like a jazz theme overall. So most of these tracks have like jazz instruments, like especially saxophone. And so for some levels it works really well, especially for a lot of the original stages made for this game. But I feel like for some of the remixes, though, the jazz themes just don't work really well, or like the instrumentations they use for some of these remixes don't sound as good. I was really disappointed with the remixes for Toad's Turnpike or Rainbow Road 64, or even the F-Zero stages. It's like the instruments they chose just aren't right for these tracks. We've heard much better remixes of these tracks in games like the Smash Brothers series, and like when you think tracks from F-Zero, you usually think like electric guitar or something. More like digital synthesis sounds and stuff like that, and you just don't get that here. They thought just having like saxophone music would work with it, and it just really doesn't. But it's like, this game definitely has a lot of good highlights in its music track, though. Like, I think the opening title theme is real catchy. I'm glad, like, that's the main theme you hear, like, when you start up the game. It's just real memorable. And one track that really stands out to me is the underwater level. I can't remember its name, but it was like the ocean level. The shore level, I can't remember its name, but Dolphin Shoals, that's what it's called. Okay, up next we have Sunshine Airport, and so this is a level I'm not too excited about. And I know it's a very popular level, but I think that's one of the main reasons I got sick of it, because I remember when playing on the Wii U version, how, like, when you're playing online, they have, like, 4 random levels selected, and they let the racers decide to vote which one we should race on next. And I just felt like there were too many races in a row where Sunshine Airport was an option, and everyone would vote that, and I just got tired of it. Like, it's a fun level at first. It's a kind of a neat concept. You're racing through an airport, and then eventually you race off a launching pad and fly through the air a bit. It's a fun novelty, but I feel like it wears off real fast. It's like, yeah, it was fun to do it for the first lap, but then you got 2 more laps of the same thing over and over, and I don't know. There are some levels where they have a gimmick like that where it's fun to revisit so many times, but this just isn't really a level for me, I guess. I don't know. It's not a bad level, I just think it's overhyped. But it's kind of interesting, though. It's probably like, so is this the airport Mario, Peach, and Toadsworth took in Super Mario Sunshine? Because That's what the name seems to imply. It is kind of cool how between laps you can see like different airplanes taking off, and that's kind of cool, but... Oh man, that was bad luck. Well, at least he pushed me forward. Leaving me right in front of a blue shell. Just fan-frickity-frackin-tastic. So I'm not sure if I'll be getting it this month, but I know at the end of the month, the new Pokemon Snap finally comes out for Nintendo Switch, and it is a game I look forward to getting, but I might wait until the 1st of May to get it. It depends. I've already spent a lot of money this month, so it depends, but otherwise, yeah, I do plan on getting it, and I'll probably do some gameplay of it eventually, but... Dolphin Shoals, this is a great level. Great scenery, great music. Another game on Nintendo Switch that I'm not sure if I'll be getting is Monster Hunter Rise. I'm not the biggest Monster Hunter fan. I think it's a neat concept though, but personally the gameplay leaves a lot for me to be desired. I just feel like the game is too sluggish and it's too punishing for those who just want to play single player. It's a game that's really trying to pester you to get online and play with others, and sometimes I just don't want to go through all that, you know, because it takes forever to find online connections, and then it's real punishing when, like, people keep disconnecting, and I'm more of a single player gamer or a local multiplayer gamer compared to online gaming, and I wasn't a big fan of Monster Hunter World. I hated how it punished you for trying to play single player to the point where you couldn't even pause the game. Yeah, it even treated the offline single-player mode like an online game where you can't pause, and it was ridiculous. And too many limited-time events where you gotta complete it under a time limit, and if you don't, you lose chances at getting the unlockable costumes and stuff like that. And they're real punishing for, you know, newcomers who are trying so hard to get that stuff, but... I don't know, I just felt like Monster Hunter was too much of a long grind. I wish it didn't take as long to defeat the monsters and stuff like that, or hunt them down and all that. It's just way too time consuming. But I heard Monster Hunter Rise was, in some people's opinion, the best in the series. They said it was a little easier than others, so it's not as much of a grind as other entries. That's one thing that kind of got me interested, but... So I remember playing the demo, and it wasn't enough for me to say I want to buy it, though. But to be fair, it was the demo. The demo was mostly just tutorial sections, so a very small sample of what to actually expect from the game. But other than that, yeah, I'm not in a rush to get it, though. I might just wait for it to go on sale, if it ever does. Hard to say, because it takes forever for Nintendo-related games to go on sale nowadays. Some of them still never do go on sale. Yeah, I love the music in this stage, though. I especially love it when you reach the shore and that saxophone solo starts playing. That's just great. And you got the giant eel. Nintendo loves putting their giant eels in the 3D Mario games. And then there's the giant whirlpool. Ooh, Electra Dome. This level is amazing. I love the design, I love the beat, and the concept is so cool. It's like you're in a giant club, basically, and it feels like the racetrack is a giant music track. Yeah, like all these light up panels and all these little grids and stuff like that, and like one of them kind of looks like guitar strings, and then I also love how in the background you see like these giant speakers and they actually bop to the music of this stage. That's kind of cool. And you got all these monitors that occasionally show Bowser's minions raving, and that's kind of funny. But yeah, this is just a really fun level. Visually appealing, very adrenaline filled. I love the little rainbow light trail you leave behind when you drive across some of those panels. That's kind of cool. Yeah, this part's really cool too. I love that. So this is another level that's pretty popular, and unlike Sunshine Airport, this is one where I can't blame people for liking this one. I do think it's a great stage, and I think like the airport one's a little overrated, but I absolutely understand why people like this stage. It's just fun. Ooh, Mount Wario. This is another great stage. Yeah, come to think of it, I think Star Cup is my favorite cup out of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe when it comes to the regular default stages. I just, it has like 3 out of 4 that are really good in my opinion. But Mount Wario is one of the most unique racetracks in this game, because it's not only is it a one-way track, it's a giant, like basically a giant ski slope that you would see like in an Olympic triathlon or something, but just that intro, it shows you like at the top of a helicopter and you're being lowered down using your hang glider and all that, and that's just a really fun way to start off a race. And so there's no laps in this, there's just checkpoints. It's just a race to the bottom of the ski path, and it's really cool though. A part of me hopes that if they ever somehow make another Mario and Sonic Winter Olympics, they need to make this stage into a dream event for skiing, dream skiing, and that would be really fun. But I doubt we're ever going to see another Winter Olympics, because, hard to say, but if I'm not mistaken, I heard the Winter Olympics on the Wii U one was a terrible seller. But if that's true, I guess that implies that the Rio Olympics was a good seller then, because they skipped making another Winter Olympic. But ironically, they made the one for 2020 Olympics on Switch, and funny thing enough is that still hasn't even happened yet, because it got canceled or delayed last year, and so it was supposed to happen this year, but I'm not sure if it... I still don't know if it's going to go on or not, but yeah, it feels kind of weird to have the 2020 Olympics in 2021. Quite a setback, but yeah, personally, I'm not too crazy about the Olympic crossovers, though. I only get them for the sake of Mario and Sonic, but it's like some of the mini-games are fun, but personally, I, along with a lot of others, would rather they make anything else with Mario and Sonic. Heck, I'd even take a Mario and Sonic party over another Olympic crossover, but of course, we all want platformers starring the two, but that's not going to happen. Sega was up for it, but then, just like Nintendo, they had to ruin everyone's fun by saying they'd rather not, because they'd rather these characters stay in their own respective universes. Such a lame excuse for Nintendo to kill everyone's joy, but otherwise, with the Olympic Games, I have the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, and I wasn't too impressed with it, honestly. Some of the mini-games were fun, like, I did like the Dream events, but there were only 3 of them, but a lot of the returning or new events weren't really that fun or great. And personally, I like the Rio Olympics one a lot better. I thought that one had better replay value, and it just had more effort put into it, because it's like the Switch one was focusing too hard on this new story mode that had like the 8-bit gimmick, and I thought that was really intrusive. I really didn't like those parts. The story and cutscenes were very underwhelming, some of the character interactions left a lot to be desired, and some of the exclusive minigames of story mode weren't very fun. I hated the 8-bit mode. I thought the minigames during that were really unfun, and it kind of annoys me how they cut out making a lot of new 3D, minigames and stuff like that in exchange for these dumbed-down 8-bit ones that have bad sound quality, bad visual quality, and less characters to play as in those, and I really didn't care for it. Now, the Rio Olympics, I thought had more effort put into it, not only in its minigames, but even its visuals. Because I remember like how they had the bike riding minigame, and that was really fun. The environment looked pretty detailed for a Wii U game, or like during the gymnastic events, how like in the one on Rio, it had like all these music tracks to choose from, and each character had their own unique animations for the dance routines, and that was kind of fun to watch. I just enjoyed replaying those levels and seeing each character do their own little dance. I mean, there's something so funny about seeing big bad characters like Voucher, dancing with batons and stuff like that. There's something so funny about that. And then you got the one on the Switch version, and it was just really bad. There was like no songs to choose from. It was way too short, and the animations looked incredibly stiff. It feels like they copied each animation for each character without giving them the style that they had in like the Rio version, and that was really underwhelming. But not only in that, but even some of the other minigames, I thought the graphics looked worse. Like, I remember in the triple jump event, or the long jump event in the Rio Olympics, like when the characters landed in the sand, the way they skid across it, and it left like a mark in the sand that really felt like that character just skid across that, and that was a cool little detail. Then I noticed in the Switch version they were too lazy to add that detail, and the sand texture looked much worse. It didn't look as realistic as it did on Rio, and I don't know, did anyone else who's played both versions, did you think the Rio one also looked a lot better? Or is it just me? But I'm pretty sure. I was looking back at video and screenshots, and it's like, yeah, the Rio one looked a lot better. But that's just my opinion. But then, of course, the Switch version, just like many other entries, it didn't bother adding any new characters. Had some that were exclusive to just one event, and that was really underwhelming. And some of the choices for them were really bad, like how Rouge the Bat was exclusive to rock climbing. Wouldn't it have made more sense for Diddy Kong to be exclusive in that event? Instead, Diddy Kong was once again exclusive to Rugby 7, just like he was in Rio, and that was really stupid. But anyways, this level right here, this was a really cool level. I love it. Not only is it cool how you have like a remix of the Gusty Garden Galaxy from Mario Galaxy, but just the theme of this. The giant beanstalks and clouds in the sky, and the giant airships from Mario 3, the part where you're riding through a storm cloud. Yeah, it's really fun, and I love how right at the end of, like, right before you get to the finish line, when you're soaring through the air, you see, like, a giant beanstalk, and right in front of it is a landing zone for your glider, and if you look closely, you'll notice it's a giant question mark block, with the beanstalk growing out of it. And that's a nice little reference to Mario Bros. 1, where some of those blocks had the hidden beanstalk that you could use to get into the clown, or coin heaven, I mean. And Whoa, man, that was bad. But yeah, like right here, see how that's a question mark block with the beanstalk? That's a really cool detail. I love that. Now, I remember the Game Boy Advance game also had a level kind of like this. It had to do with where you were up in the sky and there were some beanstalks, but of course it was a Game Boy Advance game, so the level was really simplified. It's like, that's one reason I'm not too thrilled about the Super Nintendo or Game Boy Advance one. The levels were just too flat, and I think the series has evolved for the better over the years. Okay, this level right here, the Dry Dunes level, this is my least favorite level in the entire game. Bone Dry Dunes, I just think is a really boring and annoying level. It's like the only pretty thing going on in this level is the sunset, but other than that, it's like everything else just, there's like no contrast in this level. Everything just looks reddish gray, or reddish brown, and it's just a real ugly, boring level to look at. And I mean, there have been some interesting desert-themed racing levels in past Mario games. Like, in the first one, you have the train outpost. In the 3DS one, you have the Shy Guy Bazaar. And then there are some interesting ones in the GameCube and DS one. But here, it's like, this is just one of the most boring, dry desert levels. And they weren't kidding when they called this level dry. It's not only dry as in, like, a dry, heated desert, but it's dry as in boring. It just feels like such an empty level, and it's kind of frustrating too. And then you got like this really dark moment, which can be really frustrating if you don't have like the right brightness settings on your TV, I can imagine. But yeah, I just don't like this level. It's real boring, and I remember having a lot of trouble when I would first play this level. For some reason, no matter how hard I tried, I could never get in first. I was always doing good, but for some reason, everyone behind me was just whizzing right past me. I don't know why. It was maybe they found a shortcut that I wasn't aware of, but it felt like no matter how good I was doing in this level, people were always somehow getting past me, despite how I was constantly in the lead throughout a majority of these races, and I just don't like this level. Feel free to let me know in the comments what you thought were the worst levels in this game, but this was my #1 least favorite level. I'm not sure if I'd go as far as to say it's the worst level in Mario Kart history, but I will say it's the worst desert level, and it's my least favorite level in this game. There's quite a few other levels in this game that I really don't care much for. I mean, like, all the other levels I've mentioned before, like, I might have had a few nitpicks about them, but those are levels I don't hate. Those are ones that I do enjoy going through. It's like, it's not one where every time it gets picked, I'm like, ooh, I gotta play through this one. This is one where it's like I kind of groan every time it's selected, and it's another reason why I don't really like racing through the, I think, what was this, the Lightning Cup or Special Cup? This was originally the last of the regular cups in the original Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, unless you count the DLC or the DLC levels that were included in the Deluxe version, but up next is Bowser's Castle, and not my favorite version of Bowser's Castle out of all these games. Now, Bowser's Castle are usually some of the bigger, badder, challenging stages, and I feel like Bowser's Castle has had a good history in the past games. Like, I definitely remember the one from N64, the one from the DS version was pretty memorable, but it's like, this one's kind of cool, though, but it just feels very different from the others. Because most of the others had like a real dark color scheme throughout. This one, it kind of has more of a golden tint throughout, because there's just so much of a glow effect coming from the fire and lava, and usually the Bowser levels look gloomier than this. They have like a lot of dark blues and grays, and a little bit of red or green here and there, but here it's mostly just orange and yellow. Just very bland, golden looking colors, and I don't know. I mean, there are some cool set pieces here. The giant Bowser statue is kind of cool. But if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that already used in, like, Mario Kart Wii or something like that? But, and it's like and then this last chunk, you aren't even in the castle anymore. You're just driving across these cliffs, or I don't know. It's weird, but I don't know. Not my favorite Bowser's Castle level, but the statues that shoot the lasers out are kind of cool, though. But It's not a bad level, though, but like I said, I think there were better Bowser Castle levels. I like seeing Nintendo trying to top what they last did every time they make a new stage, and I feel like for the most part, a lot of the reprisal stages in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe kind of failed to deliver. Not only for Bowser's Castle, but even their version of Rainbow Road was kind of underwhelming. Speaking of which, we'll be getting to that next. So, come to think of it, yeah, I guess this last cup here is my least favorite out of the original set of new levels for Mario Kart 8. I really didn't care for this cup that much. It's like the only level I liked was the Cloud Cruiser level, whatever you called it, the first one with the clouds and the beanstalk. That's a fun level, but then the others are just kind of meh. Like, this isn't a bad level, it's just not that great compared to other. But then it's like Rainbow Road, that's pretty forgettable and kind of frustrating, especially if you have a vehicle that has terrible drift or handling. But it surprises me, though, that they never made a DLC pack for this game that included remakes of Bowser's Castle or Rainbow Road. Like, they could make the Bowser Castle or Rainbow Road packs. That would be kind of a cool idea. But another reason why it'd be great to get a Mario Kart Ultimate, so we can finally see these stages remade in HD. Because, yeah, some of the stages were remade in past games, but to be fair, they were on, like, pretty low-res consoles like DS or 3DS or Wii. So it'd be neat to finally see them in HD. And speaking of which, one of the levels that was previously made on a previous game was actually remade for this game once again, and it was the Yoshi Circuit level from the GameCube game Double Dash, and that originally made a return on the DS version, but they once again brought it back for this, and they remade it in HD, and it's better than ever. And the part of me kind of is surprised that it's like, wow, that's the only retro stage that was brought back twice, or more than once, and kind of makes you wonder if they'll ever do that with more stages down the line. But yeah, I said something similar about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I was surprised they never made a Final Destination pack where comes with the past variant stages of Final Destination from Smash Bros. 64, Melee, and Brawl, and even Wii U and 3DS. That would be kind of cool to see them make a pack that brings those versions of the stage back. Okay, Rainbow Road. So, yep, Rainbow Road is usually supposed to be the final level, the most challenging level in the game, unless you count the N64 version. I thought for a final level, that one was actually a lot easier. But for this one, this is one of those frustrating ones. Not too many railings to keep you on the racetrack, and the concept is kind of cool, though, because usually Rainbow Road takes place either in the sky or in outer space on, of course, a rainbow track, and so here they tried giving it kind of like a satellite space station theming to it. So you see like all these ships and satellite dishes that you get to see in the background or even drive on. So it's a neat like visual touch, but at the same time, it's like it doesn't top like what's already been done in the past. Personally, one of my favorite ones was Mario Kart 64's Rainbow Road, but yeah, they brought that back for this game, and I'll get to that later. But anyways, I remember like one of the most frustrating ones for me was the one on GameCube. That one was really tricky. The road was way too narrow, not enough railings. Like, that was one thing I liked about the N64 one. That one surprisingly had a lot of railings in it, and I love the scenery of it. But like I said, I'll get to that later. But so this one, I don't know. It doesn't really feel like you're driving on a rainbow road anymore. It feels like you're just driving on rainbow tiles, and that's not as exciting as actually feeling like you're driving on a track made of all these different colors. And I don't know. Does anyone else miss that? Do they miss it when Rainbow Road was an actual rainbow? And I get that trying to call back to the original Super Nintendo Mario Kart, because that one had like the disco tiles for its Rainbow Road. But ever since N64, they had like the real colorful rainbow tracks, and I kind of miss those. And then I remember the GameCube version, like, it was really tricky, but its gimmick there was, it's an outer space one, and you had, like, a little rainbow of 3D models of some of the objects and power-ups floating in the air. That was kind of strange, but then the one in Galaxy, the one in the Wii version really felt like a tribute to Mario Galaxy, because, you could notice, like, some of the star bits floating in the air, and, And then the 3DS one, I barely remember that one, but if I recall, that one was kind of inspired by the one from Wii as well. It had some, except that one had a heavier emphasis on outer space exploration. Like there's one part where you drove across what appeared to be the moon, and that was kind of cool. And if I'm not mistaken, that also made it into a stage on Super Smash Bros. For 3DS, but unfortunately they did not port that stage over to Ultimate. So I'd say out of all the Rainbow Roads, this one is the most drastic. It tried making it feel a little more modern, I guess. Less fantasy, more... I mean, it's still a fantasy level, but they tried giving it a little more realism by having it be a space station, satellites and all that. And yeah, you do not want to have a kart that has poor handling or turning. Because, yeah, you're doomed. Like, this is not a racetrack for the heavy drivers. Okay, so Yoshi Circuit, one of the first DLC tracks, and, of course, another retro track, and so, of course, what makes this level so special is the racetrack is shaped like a Yoshi from a side view. So, you get to drive across its tail, its feet, its nose, its belly, and it's a real fun idea for a stage, but they kind of ruined the charm on the Switch version, though, because in the past entries on both GameCube and even, especially the Wii U version, you actually got to see an outline of the map, letting you know, like, where on the map you are, and the Switch version has absolutely no way of showing a map as far as I know, and that's kind of disappointing, and that's one thing I miss about the Wii U version. You could just look down on the gamepad if you were using that as your controller, and it's cool how it showed you in the map, and it showed you where everyone was, and so it's kind of cool to multitask. You know, it's kind of nice to know how far ahead you are of everyone, and or it let you know, like, when someone got an item you got to look out for, and that's kind of cool, but the Switch has no way of doing that anymore, and part of me wishes that there was a way that to make it up to Wii U owners, they give an update that allows us to connect our Wii U gamepads to the Switch as a controller and screen peripheral. That would be really neat, but that is never going to happen, I can imagine. And closest thing we could ever get is if Nintendo ever decided to make kind of like a smart glass-like feature. Remember Smart Glass on Xbox, where that was their way of trying to compete with the Wii U at the time, but it died out really quickly. It was like, for instance, when they had Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, the big gimmick of that on the Wii U one was how you could use the gamepad to show, like, a move set and stuff like that to make using combos and stuff like that a lot quicker and easier. And so Microsoft tried copying off that by having this feature called Smart Glass, where you could use your cell phone as a secondary screen for certain compatible games, and it died out real quickly, though. A lot of companies dropped support of that, and so Microsoft just stopped promoting that, and so there hasn't been anything used for it ever since. And so I feel like Nintendo could pull that off, especially with they have the Nintendo app, and it's a really stupid app. I mean, it's barely used for anything. It's only for Splatoon, Mario, and Animal Crossing at the moment, and the features on it aren't really that great, and they expire really quickly, though, and the microphone feature can sometimes just randomly disconnect or have trouble connecting. So if you're wanting to voice chat through phone, you're better off just using Skype instead of Nintendo service. It's terrible. Excitebike Arena. So I wouldn't say, like, I'm a huge fan of Excitebike. I remember playing it on NES before, like, at a dentist's office, and I found the game kind of annoying. It might have some of its fans out there, but this is a pretty obscure Nintendo title, but it does make for a pretty fun racetrack for Mario Kart. And funny thing, though, is this is not the first time Mario has crossed over with Excitebike. I mean, of course, there were the cameos in Super Smash Bros. Ever since, like, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, or Melee, if you want to count the trophies. But, yeah, I remember, like, there was a Japanese exclusive where it replaced the Excitebike bikers with Mario characters. So that was actually the first time we got to see the Mario characters on motorcycles and stuff like that, not, you know, Mario Kart on Wii and stuff like that. But so, yeah, I will admit that this stage alone is better than the game itself, in my opinion. But it's also cool how this stage is randomly generated each time. So each time you start it, the hills and mud puddles will be spawned in different parts. And that's kind of cool. So it's a very similar experience every time, but it's always slightly different every time. That's kind of cool. And it's got a remix of the old theme in the background. Yeah, come to think of it, I also have the 3DS version of Excitebike, because I can't remember what the deal with that was. If I'm not mistaken, that was a reward for the 3DS ambassadors, because Nintendo tried apologizing to those who early adopted a 3DS, and, you know, the reception for it was really poor at first, because there weren't enough games for it at retail, and so, and then Nintendo announced a price drop for it, and to apologize to those who actually paid full price for the 3DS to begin with, they gave them the Ambassadors program, where they got to download classic Game Boy Advance and NES titles, and then, if I'm not mistaken, one of them was a 3D exclusive version of Excitebike, where it had 3D effects, and they even had a mode where you got to customize your own tracks and stuff like that, and once again, it wasn't that great. It's like I played it a few times, and it's like, yep, it's basically the same old game, and the 3D gimmick wasn't that great either, but some of its other NES titles that got the 3DS treatment were pretty good, though, better than the original, even. Like, one notable example is Kirby's Adventure, or otherwise known as the original version of Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland for NES, and I never played the NES version before until after playing the... You know, I had the Game Boy Advance one first, Nightmare in Dreamland. That was my introduction to that game, and it was a fun, simple revival of Kirby at the time. It was trying to bring back the Super Nintendo formula from, like, Superstar, where Kirby wore the hats and all that, and that's become a staple ever since. So yeah, it was only, like, a minor thing in Superstar at the time, but then Nightmare in Dreamland was where they brought it back permanently. Every Kirby game since has had Kirby wearing those silly hats, and except for some of the spin-offs like Canvas Curse or, what was the sequel for Switch or Wii U? I can't remember. But anyways, yeah. Otherwise, every main Kirby platformer had him wearing the silly hats again for his power-ups, and that was kind of cool. But so then, of course, there was the 3DS version of Kirby's Adventure, and it was based on the NES version before it had the remake on Game Boy Advance, and it was pretty fun, though. But then, eventually, I played the original Kirby's Adventure on the Switch, you know, Nintendo Online service, and I never realized how faulty that game was. The controls were terrible, the frame rate was really bad, and it was hard to believe, because it's like, wow, I played the 3DS version, and I thought it was just a straight port of this with better graphics, but no, they refined the controls and everything for the 3DS port of it, and that's cool. As far as I know, though, there's two different versions of Kirby's Adventure on 3DS. There's the original emulation for the NES, or there's the 3D Classics version, and trust me, if you're going to get one of those, get the 3D Classics version. That's the better one. So, yeah, Dragon Driftway. Sorry, I forgot to mention this level. Yeah, this is a great DLC level as well. It's like a Chinese-inspired level where you're supposedly supposed to be driving across, like, well, it's kind of like a Great Wall, but it's modeled to look like Gobblegut from Super Mario Galaxy 2, and the music is pretty neat, too. I kind of like the little images they have in the portraits in the background of, like, Lakitu, and how one of them kind of resembles the box art for Kung Fu Panda 2 is kind of funny. Or, no, Kung Fu Panda 1, I mean, but, yeah, like, this is just a really fun level. I like it. I think that's one of the greatest things about this DLC pack, though. Like, although it was kind of annoying to have to wait for the whole pack to be completed, because I remember when they first announced this, though, they didn't tell you what stages were going to be available. They just told you 20 new stages were on the way. Or, wait, no, sorry. 16 new stages were on the way, and they were going to split them into 2 different packs. And so they told you, like, the first one was going to come out, like, in summer or fall, and then, to hold off on the time while pre-ordering, you got exclusive skins for both Yoshi and Shy Guy, letting them be multicolored. And so, like, the first pack included a few characters, and it included 8 of the new racetracks, and then you had to wait like half a year later for the other half to get there. But all of that was just $20. Now, think about that. Like, 16 racetracks for $20 on a Mario Kart game. That's a really good deal. Keep in mind that that was the same amount of racetracks from the original 2 Mario Karts on Super Nintendo and N64. And those were $50 games. And this was a $60 game to begin with, Mario Kart 8. And so, just $20 for what was basically the same amount of content you would have gotten in the original Mario Kart. That's a really good deal. I wish more DLC would be like that, where they give you more for less. And no, it's usually the opposite. They give you less for more. And I can't stand that. And personally, I'd rather they wait to release DLC when it's all done. I hate how they're trying to pressure you to buy it bit by bit, or how you have to wait a real long time for it all to come out. Like, I think that's one thing that's real annoying about Super Smash Brothers. I'd rather they take their time to release all these characters at once. Because then it makes it feel like when you come back to the game bit by bit, it gets over with way too quickly. It would be cooler if you went back to it with a batch of new characters to try out instead of just one. It's like you play it for a few minutes, and it's like, okay, that's a new character, another sword fighter, now what? And yeah, that's really boring. I hate that. So yeah, of course, we have Mute City from the F-Zero series, and it's a pretty neat idea for a crossover track, but I feel like the music in this is very unfitting, because usually when you think of music from F-Zero, you think of either like digital synthesis or like electric guitar sounds, and here they thought using like jazz and saxophone music was a good choice for remixing this music. And I don't know, it's like you've heard such better remixes in games like you know, the 3D F-Zero games for N64 and GameCube, or Super Smash Brothers, Melee, Brawl, and everything after. But here it's like, yeah, for a Mario Kart game, the music isn't very good for an F-Zero stage. And I do think it's cool though, like they have all the sharp twists and turns of F-Zero, but then you had like those little purple refuel stations that originally gave you more of your like speed gauge or whatever, and or your health, I mean. And in this game they had it where it's you stay on it long enough and you collect coins, and that was kind of a fun little idea. Kind of useless though when it's so easy to collect 10 coins so quickly, and that's one of my biggest annoyances with this game, the coins. Now I get they were a staple from the Super Nintendo version of Mario Kart, and how you know, it's like even in Mario Kart 7 it was cool how they brought them back, but the fact they turned them into a power-up in this is really annoying. So you collect an item box and sometimes it'll have a coin in it, and that's real frustrating when you need something to defend yourself at last minute and you get a coin instead. And it would have been cooler if you actually got to collect more than 10 coins at a time. I cannot stand it how you can only collect 10 at a time, and this is a game where they encourage you to try to collect as many as you can so you can unlock certain vehicle parts. And heck, I just unlocked the last vehicle part yesterday after collecting a certain number, like in the 50,000s or 500,000, I can't remember, but you collect a certain number of coins and you got the gold glider, and I finally got that yesterday. But okay, here's a fan favorite from Double Dash, Baby Park, and it's one of the shortest and simplest racetracks, but what makes it so crazy though is that's the thing, it's so small that it makes it into a battlefield. And you'll just see power-ups just whizzing across the entire battlefield. And it was a little more chaotic in Mario Kart Double Dash, because you had items like the giant banana peels or the giant Voucher shells, which made it more crazy. But here, it's a little toned down, but they tried amping it up by adding like the zero gravity function throughout, so you're driving on a more slanted version of this. They added some neat little extra details to the side. You know, it was originally supposed to be like an attraction at a theme park, and part of me wishes the whole racetrack was the theme park itself instead of just a little baby park. But I definitely see the charm of this level, though. It is really chaotic, and the fact that because it's so short, they have to stretch it out from 3 laps to 7 laps, and yeah, it is a pretty fun level, though. It would have been cool if they turned this into a battle arena, too, because Yeah, in the original Mario Kart for Wii U Mario Kart 8 on Wii U, they had where there was no proper battle mode. They didn't make any arenas fit for it. Instead, they just wanted you to select the racetracks and drive around it. And so it was kind of a fun idea, but at the same time, it's like some of these levels really aren't built for battles. And so it kind of, they're very linear, so it doesn't give you enough space to turn around, make sharp turns, to attack and stuff like that. And but it's like a level like this possibly could have worked. But yeah, so for the Wii U version, the Switch version, they got rid of all those levels being available in battle and brought back some new stages. Well, they brought in some new stages and brought back a few old ones as well. Like there's probably 4 retro courses and 4 new ones, and that was kind of cool. But I still wish they gave you the option to use some of the racetracks from Mario Kart 8 as battle arenas. But I can definitely see why they cut it out. But, because, yeah, some of those racetracks are just too long to the point where no one's going to get any progress done. It's like you have one player or a few players driving in one direction, and then one is driving in the complete other direction. So no matter how many times you try meeting up with another, it's just less likely to happen because of how big it is and how easy it is to get lost in it. But so here we have the Cheese Desert level from the Game Boy Advance game, and yeah, this is kind of a strange choice, but an interesting choice to remake in HD. I gotta say though, unlike the Game Boy Advance version, this really doesn't look like cheese anymore. It just looks like you're driving across rocks and dirt. And yeah, they have little textures to show you that, like, it has little holes in them to show you, like, yeah, you're driving across cheese. But I don't know, it really doesn't look like cheese anymore. It just looks like a bunch of rocks shaped like cheese. I can't recall, it's been a while since I played Super Circuit, but didn't the Game Boy Advance version of the stage kind of have like an outer space theme to it? It's like you were driving across space cheese or something, but this one, it's definitely more of a desert with the way the sky looks and all that. And I don't know, it could just be me, but and if I'm not mistaken, this is like the only level in the game that has the chain chomp obstacle. Like that was something that was introduced in, although, yeah, it was used in Mario Kart 64 at the end of Rainbow Road, but that was more of like a chain chomp on the loose kind of gimmick, where here it's like, and yeah, they even brought that level back in this game, but they really changed how the chain chomp works in that level. They gave it a zero gravity gimmick, so it's just rolling around in midair. It's no longer charging at you like a mad animal, but it wasn't until Double Dash where they had like a more proper chain chomp obstacle where it acts just like it did in Mario 64, where it's chained to a stake, and if you get too close to it, it'll try biting you. And so it's kind of funny how they brought it back for this little stage. And I remember how in Mario Golf, Toadstool Tour and GameCube, they brought the chain chomp in as an obstacle where if the ball landed too close to it, that counted as like an out-of-bound penalty. Because there's just no way to get your ball back because everyone's so afraid of the chain chomp. That was kind of funny, but and then one of the later Bowser's Castle levels has it where there's just like a yard full of sleeping chain chomps, and it's like, oh man, this is tricky. Wild Woods. This is another great DLC level. Yeah, for the first DLC pack, the first half of levels were really good. I can't complain with any of them. This one kind of feels familiar to Shy Guy Falls, in which it has a lot of vertical, raceways to go. In fact, like right here, you're actually driving up a tree at the moment, and that's kind of crazy. But I just love the scenery of this. It's just a giant forest. You're driving off the trees, onto the grass, onto other trees, and then you go through this little forest village with these little Shy Guys living like Ewoks. And yeah, it's just a really fun, visually appealing level. I always loved the forest levels in Mario Kart. I remember Maple Treeway from Mario Kart Wii, and it was also brought back in the 3DS version with a slightly alternate skin, because if I'm not mistaken, in the Wii version, it had kind of like it it had a spring or fall setting, and then they flipped it over in the 3DS version, where I can't remember which one had the fall setting. I want to say maybe it was the Wii version, and then the 3DS had the spring setting, so everything looked more green, less orange, but it was one of the two. I know they used spring and fall for both of them, and they flipped it over for one or the other, but that was a fun level. I love the music, I love the visuals and the obstacles, like the Wiggler caterpillars that block the road occasionally. That was kind of funny, but yeah, I'd say the first DLC packs for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe were the most inventive. I mean, there were a few good ones in the second wave of DLC, but I felt like a lot of them were really filler. Like, they just don't feel like they were worth being put into not only the base game, but especially DLC. And I'll get to that later, but otherwise, for this first set of 4, they're really good. I can't complain about them. That feels so satisfying when you manage to drop a bob-omb behind you to block an enemy and it doesn't self-destruct on you. Means you used it right. Oh no! Whoa, that was lucky. Oh man. Why does this game hate player 1? Okay, next we have Animal Crossing, and this is a great crossover stage. So, yeah, it's like you know, a lot of people with the Wii U knew how disappointing that era was for Animal Crossing. Like, this game right here was a huge teaser for what we could expect. It's like, oh, this is the first time we ever saw the Animal Crossing characters in HD. Well, unless you count Smash Brothers, but that uses simplified HD, where, so anyways, this DLC, it gave us a beautiful look at how Animal Crossing would look in an HD environment with better lighting, better textures, but still using the cute, simple art styles for the little animal villagers and all that. And so not only was it funny how they eventually added Villager and Isabelle as playable racers in this, but this racetrack was really fun. It was just racing through the villages, and how each time you select it, it'll choose a randomly generated weather effect for a season, whether it's spring, summer, fall, or winter. So right now we're going through the spring setting, and yeah, like, it's just a beautiful level, and you're driving through the town. You go through, like, you know, the forest with the trees, and you see, like, the little towns and stuff like that, and then it's like towards the end of it is the ocean with the beach and all that. And yeah, it's just a really fun level, and I love how they replaced the coin icon with the bag of bells icon, and that's really cool. And even the coins, they tried making them look like the little star coins from the, you know, how they looked in Animal Crossing. And part of me misses remember when Mario coins started looking like that in the N64 era, when they had the little stars in the center? And I really missed that. I missed the star coins from Mario 64 and Mario Party. And it wasn't until, like, New Super Mario Brothers where they really simplified them. They just turned them into coins with a little, you know, that weird little rectangular dent in the center. I don't know how you call that, but, and I get that it's trying to harken back to the old NES design of the coins, but they're just really boring, though. I didn't like that design. Why did they cut the stars out of the coins? They were just so iconic. I even love the old jingle they used to make when you collected them in, like, the Mario Party series, and I hate how they sound nowadays. They sound like a more high-pitch, blingy noise, and it's just a little more irritating. I like the old ching it made in the older games. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of the modern coins. But, yeah, I'd definitely say, despite how disappointing Animal Crossing was for the Wii U generation, both on the Wii U and the 3DS when it came to the Happy Home Designer and the Amiibo Festival for the Wii U, those were two disappointing games. And it was cool how Nintendo tried making it up to those fans by giving New Leaf an update that implemented features from those games. Because that's the thing, it's like Happy Home Designer had a neat concept, but it wasn't worth being an entire spin-off. You know, the whole thing was, oh, you got to customize houses and drag furniture and items around using the touchscreen. That was a neat idea, but it wasn't worth it if it wasn't an actual Animal Crossing game. It left a lot of people wishing they could actually customize their actual Animal Crossing gameplay with that kind of feature. But so yeah, they made an update where it added Happy Home Designer controls to customizing your house, and so that made moving furniture a lot easier and quicker. You no longer had to like pull it out and drag it slowly with your character. And then they even brought that feature over into New Horizons on Switch, and that was a great addition. And then they even brought over some of the amiibo functionality for the Wii U version, and they even brought over one of the mini games from that, and they added a new puzzle mode. And yeah, it was really cool how they tried making it up to the Animal Crossing fans, and I'm sure they definitely made up for it with New Horizons, because I know a lot of people love that game, and I don't play it as much as I used to, though. Like, there once was a time where I played it every single day, and I practically went like 6 months without it until I went back to it last month to get the Mario DLC, and some of it was kind of fun, though, but I hated how it was all for a limited time event. It would have been nice to actually be able to save up more of that, but they only limited you to getting 5 of those items a day, and so eventually came to a point where it's like, I got 1 of each item, I'm done getting them. It was neat, though, but... So yeah, Moo Moo Metals, this was a great level from the Wii version of Mario Kart, and it looks a little more beautiful in this game. I love, like, the lighting, the sky, and some of the plant life they added. It doesn't look entirely great, though. Like, some of the grass does look kind of low-res, but otherwise it's definitely better than how it looked on the Wii. Mario Circuit, it's kind of a bland level, but once again, I'm not too big on the levels from Super Nintendo or Game Boy Advance. They were just really flat levels, and they tried tuning this one up a bit by adding a little bit of the zero gravity gimmick there, where part of it is elevating up into the sky, and it's just not enough to actually make this level more exciting, though. Just another bland level with a bunch of blocky platforms on the side, and I don't know, just really bland. Mario Kart levels have definitely gotten more creative over the years. Cheap Cheap Beach. This was a neat level from the DS version. Start off on a dock, you drive through a beach, and then it ends up where you drive through a little bit of a jungle. It's kind of fun. I like this. The visuals and music are pretty relaxing. But then everything else going on is anything but relaxing. I always love the beach levels in the Mario games. There's just something so fun and iconic about them. There was the one on N64 that had the giant rock shaped like a Koopa. There was Peach Beach, which is a nice little tribute to Mario Sunshine in Double Dash. And yeah, Delfino Isle from Super Mario Sunshine included on the DS and Wii versions. And yeah, I just love the beach levels. There's just something so fun about them. The DS version is pretty hard to go back to, though. I remember for its time it was really good, but I remember even noticing back on the DS, the graphics were pretty bad for that game. Like, you could definitely notice, like, when it got really close up to the characters, you could see how low poly they looked and how pixelated their textures look. And that was the DS in general, though. It's especially noticeable if you play games like Mario 64 DS, and it's like some people think it looks a lot better than Mario 64. It looks a little more saturated. The characters look less blotchy, but it's like, still, it is technically more limited than the N64. It's just that the designers have gotten so much better over the years that they know how to make things look better, even with limitations. But there's no denying, though, the N64 was a more powerful console than the DS, and there were some effects that all these ports of N64 games just paled to do in comparison to the N64. Noticeable in games like Mario 64 DS and Diddy Kong Racing. And I can definitely say the DS games looked a little more colorful, but they looked incredibly low res. The textures were really, really pixelated, very thin looking, and it was especially noticeable like in Mario 64 when you go to the mirror room and look up in first person and you're able to see the textures on Mario's eyes, and oh my, they are just really too low res. And it's like they might look good from a distance, but close up they are ugly and hard to believe. Remember the DS beta and how it practically looked like GameCube graphics? Especially noticeable if you look up the old tech demo for Sonic Rush, how originally it looked like it was a 3D mini game where you had to stroke on the screen really fast with the touchscreen to cause Sonic's speed to go like top speed, and the graphics on that looked almost like Sonic Heroes. And they were pretty good for what was a DS game, but then it's like the final DS, it looked nothing like those kind of graphics. It looked worse than N64, so the 3DS, on the other hand, was a little closer to GameCube's graphics. Still not as good, but better than N64 at least. Toad's Turnpike. So this was a memorable but pretty frustrating level from the N64 version, and it was made a lot easier in this version. The traffic, there's less of it going on, and it was almost like there was just a wall of vehicles closing you in on the original, and it's especially even harder if you played it on mirror mode, where the cars are going in the opposite direction, making it harder for them to avoid. And so yeah, that was one of the most unique levels in Mario Kart 64, especially in mirror mode. But here they made it a lot easier, and it's a little more fun in this one. I kind of like how you have like all these different multiple paths to take. You can choose to drive up on the side of the road here, or take the little ramps, the gliders, and then all these trucks have little Easter eggs on them. And I remember like revisiting this game after playing Mario Odyssey. I was like, wait a minute, are one of those trucks advertising crazy caps? Because looks like one of them on the back has like the eyeballs of Cappy, and you kind of saw like that like on the logo of the Crazy Cap store. But then it turned out it was supposed to be an ad for Iggy Koopaling and his like he apparently has a glasses company, so it said Iggy's Glasses or something like that. And that was a real tease. It's like that would have been cool if that actually was a foreshadowing to Mario Odyssey. It's like, at the time, it's like they were developing it, and so they thought, similar to what they did with Luigi's Mansion 3 in the Shark Ghost and the pirate ship, how they snuck that into the Twisted Mansion level. It would have been kind of funny if they did the same thing for Mario Odyssey with crazy caps, but no, it was just an Iggy shout-out. And Apparently Iggy just has like the same eyes as Cappy from Mario Odyssey, so... Did anyone else think that, though? They see the eyes on the back of that truck and think, is that from the Cappy store from... well, the Cap store from Mario Odyssey, or... Uh-oh. However, as nice as this remake of the level is, I am not a fan of the remade music. I thought it sounded so good in the N64 version, and here, I don't know, it sounds a lot weaker than the original, and I don't know how to explain it. It's just not as good as the one from N64, music-wise. Dry Desert. This was a level I really didn't care much about in the GameCube version, but for some reason I like it a lot better in this one. It's a little easier, especially the part with the quicksand, like how that was like an instant death in the original version, and this one, it gives you a chance to get out of it quicker. I remember in the GameCube version, like, some kind of giant, like, green piranha plant burst out of the ground and ate you, and in this, they got rid of that, and it gives you enough chance to, you know, drive around that, or even if you slide into it a little bit, it gives you a chance to get out of there fast enough, and you really didn't get that. And I like the visuals in this one a lot better. I really wasn't a huge fan of the visuals in the GameCube one. I thought they were too blocky and simplified looking. That was arguably the most cartooniest looking Mario Kart entry. Even the N64 version, with its limitations, it felt like it was trying to be as detailed as possible. And then there's the GameCube one where it tried simplifying everything. It tried making everything too oversaturated, and almost everything had a face on it. It's like the trees had eyes, and so I'm kind of glad they got rid of that aesthetic in some of the later games. I mean, Mario Kart Wii practically used the same 3D models of the characters, but they tried being a little more detailed. But I remember thinking the visuals of Mario Kart Wii were still kind of annoying, though. It had too much of what was a bloom effect. It was just way too strong, and it got real irritating. And I mean, this one has a slight bit of a bloom effect, but it's used more naturally, though. It's mostly for the backgrounds, and I think the lighting in this one's a lot better. It tried being a mixture of realistic and a cartoony setting, and I always kind of like that. I like it when you have cartoony characters in realistic-looking environments, and I don't know why. I just always loved that kind of that hybrid look, and that was one thing I loved about Mario Odyssey. Like, there's something crazy how 1 minute a level's cartoony, then all of a sudden you're fighting like a realistic dragon that looks like it came from Skyrim, and it's just so bizarre. You can't help but love it. Meh, Donut Plains, another bland level from the SNES game, and meh. I already said it before, but I really don't care for those levels. Royal Raceway. This was a fun level from the N64 version, and man, they really ruined it on this version, though, because remember how you could actually drive off course and drive through the front of Peach's castle as it was presented in Mario 64, or as shown in the award ceremony at the end of Mario Kart 64, and that was really fun. And I remember like having memories of where me and my older sister, we would mess around in versus mode. Instead of racing, we would just drag items into there and just mess around. We would drive around the court, you know, try launching ourselves off certain surfaces, and you know, just fire our items at each other, and we had a lot of fun just messing around, not playing the game properly. And then they had the nerve in this remake to put a gate in front of it and have it up on a cliff, making it impossible to reach, and that was a dick move, Nintendo. Let people have their fun. Then I mentioned earlier how it would have been neat if they made a level where you actually got to drive through Peach's castle and go through some of the levels of Mario 64. But anyways, despite how they butchered this level, they still did a nice job at redesigning it. All the additions like the peach trees and the little swan boats in the water, that's kind of cool. It's like everything is nicer except for the castle itself. Nintendo really ruined it here. I kind of get why they did it, though, because I can imagine a lot of players, you know, they saw the castle in the distance and they thought, that's where they're supposed to go, head towards the castle, and so they, you know, they made it too obvious. And I mean, clearly the only reason that castle was modeled into the game to begin with was for the cutscenes during the award ceremony, and they thought it would be kind of funny to just reuse an asset from one of the levels. But yeah, at the same time, Nintendo didn't do a good job at warning players not to drive in that direction. Some people might have thought it was a shortcut, and then they realized, that's a bummer. But still, it is a shame that they cut it out entirely. They could have at least had a sign that urges you not to go in that direction. And that was one thing that was kind of fun about games like Diddy Kong Racing. That was a game that actually encouraged you to go off course, because there are like hidden keys in certain levels and that you need to open doorways, and that was kind of funny. But speaking of the award ceremony for Mario Kart 64, yeah, remember when Mario Kart actually had like neat little victory animations at the end? And man, that's one thing this game does not have over the others. And that's one thing that can be said about practically every Mario game after the GameCube era. Because the GameCube era did a really good job at making these games just fun and presentable. Remember when Mario Golf and Tennis on the GameCube, they had like those really funny opening cutscenes. They were just like little animated shorts with the characters to help get you excited for the game. And those were really fun. And then Mario Tennis had that hilarious blooper reel. There were two of them you could get for beating the different story modes in the game. Well, the arcade modes. They had the regular single-player mode. Then they had the doubles or the gimmick levels. And yeah, I just love that era of Nintendo. And especially since the Switch era, that's where they really stopped doing that. It's like they got less creative in the Wii era, but then they just stopped altogether with Switch. You can just see it with every game nowadays. Even like the title screens are really bland and boring. Back then they did something real fun and exciting before the title screen shows up, whether it's a little cutscene or just a really cool interactive, main menu screen. And nowadays they just don't do that. They just take you to a flat image. Sometimes there's like no music in the background, no animations going on. It's just like, yep, this is Super Mario Odyssey. This is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Go nuts. And I miss that. Mario Tennis Aces was really underwhelming with its presentation, and even though it had a story mode, it didn't even have an opening cutscene until like later in the game. They gave it a free update that added an animated, it replaced the original bland intro of an actual animated cutscene, and that still wasn't enough to save the game from its lack of presentation, in my opinion. And I can just tell that Nintendo's not going to change that anytime soon. They just think it's a waste of time and money, it seems like. But I miss that, though. I miss it when video games tried being so entertaining throughout, and you just don't get that presentation anymore. Or like, remember when Super Smash Bros. Melee had that really epic opening scene that just got everyone hyped, and then it's like ever since the one on Brawl, that's where they just didn't care anymore. But to be fair, it had the story mode with a lot of cutscenes, so it's a little more forgivable. So that one, during its opening, if it showed any cutscenes, they were just little samples of what you were going to see in Subspace Emissary, but they didn't have any new original animations. It was mostly just a mixture of the cutscenes and a few little gameplay moments from the game, like the developers messing around with one of those like debug cameras and just making really funny shots of the characters. And then it wasn't until like the Wii U one where they got really lazy. They just showed gameplay from the game during its intro with a really bland music theme going on in the background. And Ultimates was a little bit more of the same thing, but it was a little more creative though, because at least they had like the original song from World of Light playing in the background. And I'll admit that one actually did get me hyped more than the Wii U one did. And then there's the 3DS version where absolutely nothing happened whatsoever. It just takes it straight to the title screen. Sorry, I forgot to mention about this level. Donkey Kong Country Returns. It's a level inspired by that. I can't remember the name of this, but it's an okay level. But personally, I wasn't a huge fan of the DK Returns games. I kind of like the, I hate how they drastically tried changing the setting. They got rid of the Kremlings and replaced them with little tiki gods, or in the sequel, it was all like aquatic-themed villains, or like ice-themed villains and stuff like that, and I don't know. It's kind of dull. And then, even DK's house isn't the same anymore. Remember when he used to live in a log cabin up in a treehouse, and now he lives in a tiki hut? It's like, what? Why is Nintendo... they're trying to call this a sequel of Donkey Kong Country, but it feels more like they're retconning Donkey Kong Country. So here we have Wario Stadium, and I remember being very misled when I heard like one of the returning courses in this game was going to be Wario Stadium, because here I was thinking of the Wario Stadium from Mario Kart 64, and it was a simple track, but it was a pretty lengthy one, and kind of memorable, but a lot of people have pointed out over the years how it is pretty basic. It's mostly just a bunch of dirt roads with Wario's portrait here on the side, here and there, and yeah, it is true that it is kind of a bland level, but it was still a fun one for those who just want to go on a long drive. And it was real annoying though how if you drove over a dirt hill, like between those gaps, and if you got struck by a lightning bolt, how it sent you back to the bottom and you had to work your way all the way back to getting to where you last were. Yeah, that was real annoying, but luckily modern Mario Kart games prevent that from happening, because usually they'll have it where Lakitu will pick you up from out of bounds and place you back on the racetrack, and so that's a lot more convenient. Yeah, this Wario Stadium, I can't remember what game this was from. God, they even tell you right when you select the level, but I wasn't paying attention. But I want to say this definitely wasn't the one from GameCube, but probably the 3DS, I guess. I don't remember this from any of the others, but or maybe it was from the Wii version, I can't remember, but I thought the one from Double Dash was a lot better. That one felt like kind of like a monster truck obstacle course. And it's like they tried doing the same thing here, but it was way too simplified. I remember how on the one for Double Dash, I think like it had all these all these ramps you could go off of, and it had like these little fake warp pipes with giant piranha plant statues coming out of them, and that was kind of fun. And they definitely spruced it up in the Wii version, where they amplified some of the ramps to make them like the trick half-pipe ramps that you got to ride off of. And come to think of it, I think did they get rid of the half-pipes in this game? Because remember how in the Wii version, you got to go off like those half-pipes to get like certain tricks, and it gave you a boost when you did them. And yeah, they brought the tricks back into this game, but I don't recall if there are any ramps or anything for you to go off of. Like how, they brought back like one of the ski levels from the DS one, and they made it where you could actually go off some of the half pipes. And yeah, there are surfaces that you can do tricks off of here, but they're not really half pipes anymore. they're more like hills or just little slopes or bumps. Yeah, I don't recall if there are really any more of those trick slopes anymore. It's kind of a bummer. To be fair, though, they were mostly just for show. They did kind of slow down the gameplay a bit, despite how they encourage you to try doing it to get a boost. It felt like sometimes you're better off just ignoring those, but it was still a fun little idea, though. It's just a shame they couldn't have made it more useful. So yeah, this level right here, I can't remember the name of it, but this was from Double Dash, and I think the version on this one's a lot better. I like how they added some underground sections, so you can just go under the ice for some shortcuts here and there, and that's kind of cool. If I recall, though, the GameCube version of this stage was a lot harder, though, because if I'm not mistaken, they had a bunch of the giant freeze guys from, you know, like the old Mario Bros. Arcade, or like they were a power-up in the Smash Bros. Games ever since Melee. What are they called? Mr. Freeze? Or I can't remember, but it's like, yeah, if I recall, they had like giant statues of the, well, giant ones of those like throughout the levels, and if you bumped into them, it froze your character solid, making it hard to drive and control them, and I don't think those... Oh, never mind, they are in this version. For some reason, I couldn't recall if they were still here or not, but... Otherwise, if I'm not mistaken, they toned them down compared to the GameCube. Like, bumping into them doesn't cause as much slowdown as it did on the GameCube, and... Yeah, I think out of all the Mario Kart games, the GameCube had some of the worst slowdowns, though, because they had it, like, in the past, where when you got hit by the blue shell, it just, tumbled you over a little bit, but then it's like in the Double Dash version they had it where like it atomic bombed you and you just soared into the air, and it took a while for you to get back on the ground. And they, like, ever since, every Mario Kart game ever since still uses the blue shell like a bomb instead of just like a regular projectile attack. But I feel like the recovery is a little quicker in some of the modern games, though. But it's ironic, though, how actually Mario Kart 64 had some of the worst recovery. That was the one where when you got hit by an item, your character just kept tumbling relentlessly, and so it's like every item had the same, you know, long recovery you needed to, you know, like the banana peels, those took a while for you to get undizzy from those and all that, and nowadays it's like everything can be healed pretty quickly. Whoops. Music Park. This is a great level from the 3DS version. I like how, like, some of the racetracks are just inspired by, you know, different instruments, like piano keys or xylophone, and you have like the giant little bouncing music notes, and if you jump right as they land on the ground, it will give you a speed boost. That's kind of cool. I don't know, I always kind of had a soft spot for music-themed levels in video games, and there's just something kind of fun about the novelty of the platforms or tracks being made of giant instruments. And then they even have some of the music blocks from Mario Bros. 3 in the background on some of these parts. That's kind of cool. All that's missing are the music notes from the Mario Galaxy games. Okay, and now we got Yoshi's Valley. Oh man. Everyone who grew up with the N64 version remembers how frustrating this level was. Not only because of all of its multiple turns, but the map system did not give you a good idea of what place you were for some reason. It chose to be a mystery until like the final lap, and I don't know, it was weird, but so luckily they made this level a lot better in this version. It's a little easier this time. I don't know how to explain it, it just is, but Tick-Tock Clock. This was a level from the DS version, and it's loosely inspired by the level of the same name from Super Mario 64, except I'll admit I actually like it better as a racetrack than an actual platforming level. Yeah, Tick-Tock Clock, that was one of my least favorite levels in Super Mario 64, and surprisingly it makes a much better racetrack, though. Piranha Plant Slide. This is a pretty fun level from the 3DS one, Mario Kart 7. So it's mostly a level inspired by the underground levels from the original Super Mario Brothers, except with a bit of a water slide gimmick. You're just going on all these little water pathways down through the sewers, and right at the end it shoots you up into a giant castle, kind of inspired by the end world castles in Super Mario Bros. 1. And yeah, it's a pretty fun level. I kind of say, though, it looks a little... I don't know how to say it. It looks a little blander in this, though. It was a little more colorful in the 3DS one. Like, it had more blues. In this one, it's mostly just grays and a bunch of, you know, dim lighting. And I don't know. It doesn't stand out quite as well as it did on the 3DS. Rumble Volcano. This is a great level, but pretty challenging, though. So this is one of the few levels where the terrain around you actually starts collapsing, and it gets worse and more dangerous as each lap progresses. And it's just a real epic level, though. It really feels like the world around you is ending, or at least the place around you is just getting destroyed. And so it feels like an apocalyptic kind of Mario Kart racetrack. And there's something really neat about the music as well. It's just very chilling, and yeah, I love this level. It is great. Okay, Rainbow Road 64. So I earlier mentioned how Rainbow Road 64 was one of my favorite versions of Rainbow Road out of any Mario Kart game. However, so you think I'd be excited that they brought it back for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or Mario Kart 8 in general, and I was very underwhelmed by this. It no longer resembles the level it's based on. The original had like a striped rainbow road, and now it's like a disco floor, and you're over like a giant city, which it is kind of beautiful though, but it's not the level we all fell in love with. And originally you had like all these really cool light portraits of the characters in the sky, and now they're just replaced with fireworks that go by way too quickly, and I kind of miss the flickering character portraits. And they really butchered this level, because originally it was a pretty long racetrack that went around like 3 laps, and they incredibly shortened it to where it's just 1 lap around the entire thing, split into 3 different checkpoints. Now, a level like this structure worked a lot better in the Wario Summit level, where it was just a giant ski lodge. You're driving down from the top of the mountain all the way to the end of the finish line, and that worked a lot better in this. But here, it's just very underwhelming. I didn't like the music remix for it either. The original one had just such a cool charm to it, and I don't know, the instrumentation on this one just isn't as good, and I hate what they did with the chain chomps as well. Originally, they would just roam around, and you gotta try to avoid them, and in this one, they just have them rolling around with 0 gravity. They were too lazy to actually bother giving them the chomping animation, and I don't know, I was not impressed. Clearly, they were trying to, lazily reuse, like, the same animation they used for Chain Chomp in Mario Galaxy, where none of the Chain Chomps in Galaxy actually bit you like they traditionally would. They just floated around and rolled around in 0 gravity, and that's exactly what they did here. But, I mean, look at that. That just ended way too soon. Yeah. I'm glad I'm not the only one who was underwhelmed by this, though. I've heard other fans of Mario Kart 8 express that they were very underwhelmed by Rainbow Road 64. In the remade version, and yeah, I absolutely agree. It was very disappointing. So here we have Wario's Gold Mine, a level that was taken straight from the Wii version, and yeah, this is a pretty fun remake. They added some of the zero gravity gimmicks for some of the mine carts, and so in the original one, if you bumped into the mine carts, it would have caused you to slow down, but in this version, it allows you to get a speed boost by revving off their little gravity bumpers. I don't know what you call them, but and then the scenery is really nice. So you got like a nice little sunset. You're in like kind of like a desert canyon town setting. I don't know, but it's pretty peaceful looking though. But quite a crazy roller coaster ride with its track. And the swoopas. Remember how dangerous the swoopas were in Super Mario 64? How like there's the Banshee Boardwalk level, the Ghost Pier level, and how oh, like those bats, they were just terrible. They just kept bombarding you, and they caused you to slip, and there's no real easy way to avoid them. So I love how they toned them down in later games with the Swoopa's inclusions. They just kind of push you aside in this, but they don't ram you to dizziness anymore, luckily, and that's just great. I really think this was a waste of a downloadable track, the original SNES version of Rainbow Road, and it's just one of the most boring versions of Rainbow Road ever made. It's just so flat and square-shaped, and, you know, it's like they tried adding a few little twists with the thwomps causing like little ripple effects, but it's just really boring overall. Kind of annoying though how, you know, I got a new computer that runs computer games a lot better and it's able to record video software without slowing down drastically, but what really bugs me though is how every time I try using video editing software, it still acts up pretty badly. Like, while I'm recording some of this footage, you can't see it from like the final product, but trust me when I say, like, when I'm viewing this in timeline mode on Cyberlink Power Director, it's causing the video to lag quite a bit, and so sometimes I gotta pause and wait for it to kind of refresh a bit and then resume it for it to run smoothly, but it doesn't take long for it to get sluggish again. So, yeah, that's real annoying. I don't know why it does that. You think a computer that's powerful enough to handle gaming would be able to handle video rendering and all that, but it's just so weird. I don't know why it's doing this. It doesn't matter what program I use, though. It doesn't matter if I'm using Cyberlink Power Director or Adobe Premiere Elements 2021. It's just always acting up, and it's weird. Yeah, I have like two different kind of video editing softwares. I mostly use Cyberlink Power Director for if I want to extract screenshots or if I just want to do a simple video edit. But then when I need to do like something heavier, though, like for instance, if I want to do something with sentence mixing, Premiere Elements is better to use because it has audio scrubbing features. And so yeah, I use each for like their own individual purposes. Like back when I used to make YouTube edits, you know, I used to make like YTPs and stuff like that, and I don't make them anymore due to copyright, but trust me, I still would if I could. But yeah, I like using Premiere Elements for that. That made it easier to sentence mix with the audio scrubbing, but for some reason Cyberlink just does not allow that, and that's quite a bummer. But otherwise, Cyberlink Power Director isn't too bad of a video editing software, and it's just that, yeah, it does kind of cause a slowdown when editing certain videos, and I don't know why. It's so weird. I'm wondering if it has something to do with my external hard drive. Like maybe it's just not powerful, because I save like my video captures directly onto an external hard drive and then load them onto my video editing software, and I'm wondering if that's the reason why it's acting so slow, because I previously had like a 2 terabyte external hard drive that allowed you to connect it not only to a USB port, but it also connected to a power source to give it a little more energy. But over the years, that was starting to die down on me. Like, it kept unplugging on its own, and so I got a new external hard drive, but it doesn't have a power source this time. So you just connect it directly to USB, and it seems like ever since I did that, it's like, yeah, I got more memory, because this one's like 3 terabytes instead of 2, but I can't tell, but it feels like it might be acting a little more sluggish, and I don't know. But yeah, overall, I'm not disappointed that I got this new computer, though. It does run a lot better, but part of me wishes that capturing videos and editing them wasn't so sluggish, and I don't know, it might be the external hard drive, I don't know, but I'd really hate to have to get another one that has a power source in it. And okay, so this is probably my least favorite out of the DLC levels, though, when it comes to the newly made levels. This is just so bland and generic. It doesn't even feel like it deserves to be an add-on. It's just 2 different icy-looking roads that you gotta take, and that's all it is. It's, I don't know, like, why was this a DLC level? A lot of the other DLC levels were pretty creative, or they were reimaginings of past levels, but what was the point of this one? I mean, we already had some ice levels, and it's like, out of them all, this is the most boring ice level out of Mario Kart 8. Did anyone else find this level underwhelming? Because I definitely did. Heck, I don't even think this is worthy of being a standalone stage for the game. Like, if this was included at the game,
The original Mario Kart 8, that is, because, yeah, of course, this was included by default in the Deluxe version, but if you had the Wii U version, you had to pay extra to get this stage, and I don't think it was really worth it. This is a pretty bland level. Okay, Hyrule Circuit. This is actually a really neat crossover level. It's just a simple crossover of The Legend of Zelda, and yeah, it does exactly what you think it would. Tries making a Zelda setting into a Mario Kart racetrack. What makes this one so interesting, though, is it doesn't seem to be inspired by any particular era of The Legend of Zelda, though. I mean, you could say, like, on the startup, the lap flag or whatever, the text for it kind of looks like the one you saw in Skyward Sword, but everything else doesn't really represent that. It doesn't have the watercolor color scheme that Skyward Sword had, and this definitely isn't Breath of the Wild inspired, because this came out before that, and nothing about it really seems to resemble the art style of Breath of the Wild, but it's still really cool, though, that they made a Zelda-inspired level. A lot of fans have been begging for, like, Zelda characters to be in Mario Kart over the years, and yeah, Link actually was a guest character in this, and exclusive to the Switch version, there was eventually a free update where we got to play as Breath of the Wild Link. But mostly, his appearance in this game is mostly inspired by Skyward Sword, it appears. They use like a similar looking model and color scheme, but the level itself doesn't seem to be Skyward Sword inspired, but Link's design definitely was Skyward Sword inspired. But it's just, I love all the little details they did here, like how they replaced all the coins with the rupees, and they replaced the piranha plants with the Dekubabas from Ocarina of Time, and they replaced some of the Swoopas with those bat enemies that you saw in many of the 3D Zelda games, and that's really cool. I like that. And you got like the Master Emerald Sword altar here in the middle of Hyrule Castle, and was there ever a Zelda game where the Master Sword was in Hyrule Castle? I can't remember. Wind Waker, maybe? I think Wind Waker had it, but other than that, most, every version of Zelda has a Master Sword found in a forest or some kind of Temple of Time, or sometimes it's a hybrid. There are some games where they have it where the Temple of Time is in a forest, like in Skyward Sword. But yeah, usually Master Sword was found in a forest or some kind of time altar, and so there were only a few exceptions where it was in a completely different location. But So we're down to the final stretch, the last four racetracks of the game. And so first we have Neo Bowser City, and this is a pretty neat level. It's just like a nighttime neon city inspired level during a rainy night, and it's got real epic scenery. And it is a little tricky though. You want to have good handling on your vehicles for this stage. The rain definitely makes it a little more slippery, but it's a fun racetrack though, and it kind of has a cool little hybrid music in the background. Like some of it you hear, it sounds like Toad's Turnpike from Mario Kart 64. And yeah, overall I just really love this level. It's pretty fun. Now, I know I've said before that I am not a fan of the levels from the Super Nintendo or GBA version of Mario Kart, but I'll admit, this was a reimagining done really well. So they took the Ribbon Road level from the Game Boy Advance one, and they definitely gave it a huge overlay, though. They made it look kind of like your shrunk-down toy size, and so everything around you is a giant toy in some kind of playroom, and that's really cool, though. I love, like, all the little details. I remember when I first played this, I was pausing my recordings and trying to look up all the Easter eggs in the background of all the little play sets, and you have like all these little action figures and pillows of many things from different Mario games, and it's just a really fun level. It's really imaginative, and kind of feels like this was the prototype for the Mario Kart Live Circuit for Nintendo Switch. I'm probably never going to get that though, but some people were creative with it, with building their own real-life racetracks for the remote control Mario Kart to drive around in, and yeah, mostly that gimmick. I've heard a lot of people say it wears off really fast. It might be fun for little kids, but for older fans, they're going to get bored of it real quick, and that's exactly why I'm saving my money. I'm not going to spend $90 on something I'm barely going to play. That, and my apartment's really not the best place for building little indoor racetracks like that, so yeah. But I've seen some creative things people done. I've seen people like print out like texture sheets from Mario 64 and try recreating like sceneries using paper cutouts of Mario 64. Or some people have made funny videos where like you see like the cat and like their pet cat invades the video while they're driving the car, and that's kind of funny. So yeah, some people have been creative or had some real funny outtakes happen while playing that, but other than that, it's like, you think that game would have had more hype, though. You don't really see a lot of people sharing gameplay or videos or images from that, and that's kind of disappointing. But I really don't blame people for not buying it, though, because, yeah, like many have said, it gets old really fast. And I could tell just by watching the previews of that, the fact that it looks like only Mario and Luigi are playable characters, depending on which figure you have. And I don't even think Luigi's available yet, but they teased that he was going to be available down the line. But it's like your only competitors are Bowser and the Koopalings, and it's like that looks like that would get old really fast. And you know, the whole concept is just building little race courses out of limited little pieces in real life, and you have to create like the checkpoints, and it's like that sounds like that would get really old really fast. Fun for little kids, but definitely boring for longtime fans. Super Bell Subway. So this is kind of a neat idea for a level. Kind of bland in design, though, because it's just trying to look like a more realistic subway station, but that's what makes this level great. It's basically a subway station, so it gets real chaotic, because you just never know when the subways are going to show up, and most of it has you driving on the train tracks of these subways, and going from underground to up above the surface, and it's just a real fun idea for a level. Not the greatest level, but it's still a fun little gimmick. A pretty good challenge, too. And on to the final level of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and that is Big Blue from the F-Zero series. Another stage that was featured in Super Smash Bros. Along with Mute City from F-Zero. And so once again, it's like it's a neat idea for a level, but I feel like the music is very underwhelming. It just doesn't match the tone you would think of when it comes to instrumentation for F-Zero. But what makes this one so different, though, is this is a one-way race. It has checkpoints instead of laps. So, yeah, that's similar to the Wario Summit level, where you start off at one end and you end at a very end result, kind of like an end goal, I mean. I'd have to say I probably like the Mute City level a little better, though. But it's too bad they couldn't have properly replicated, like, Big Blue from the N64 version of F-Zero. I remember that was really cool, because, like, the racetrack was just really bizarre looking. It was, like, I don't know how to describe it. It almost looked like some kind of pipe. And the way, like, you could just drive around it at so many different angles. Like, you could drive upside down on it, and that was really fun. Drive sideways on it, even, or just corkscrew around it, and that was really fun. And, of course, that would have been a little too hard to accomplish in a game where all the surfaces are supposed to be racetracks or flat, rounded surfaces. And so, yeah, that was a little too impossible to implement into a Mario Kart game, but imagine how cool that would have been. And, of course, it's a real tease for F-Zero fans, because Nintendo makes it sound like they're never going to make another. They were just open recently that says that they're not necessarily against making another F-Zero, but they would need to find a new gimmick for it. And they basically said they have not been able to find a new gimmick for it, and it also kind of gives the impression that they're not even trying either. So, they're not saying it's impossible, but don't expect one anytime soon is the best way to put it. And I don't know, I was never a huge fan of F-Zero. I played a little bit of the N64 one, and it was fun for a little bit, but a little too challenging and brutal for me. And I tried playing the GameCube one once, and I couldn't even get past the first level in the story mode, and apparently I'm not the only one. I heard, like, the GameCube one's very underrated. Many people gave up on it way too soon, but well, those were all the levels in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Thank you for watching, see you next time, and have a great day.